for the students. So if you're not familiar with the MDM, let me quickly share what the MDM does. All right, so what the mobile device management platform is able to do is to really help the teachers and the school to have a controlled environment for the students while they use the iPads during learning in class. Some of these things could include configuration of Apple Classroom so that teachers could control the students, single app mode for teacher-guided access to get the students to focus on a particular task. At the same time, we also use the MDM to remotely install school-approved apps, learning apps, and to prevent unauthorized or non-learning apps during school hours. So while your iPad may have some games, some video streaming, Netflix, and YouTube, things like that, that during school hours when it is not used, the MDM may send a command down to hide all these apps during school hours. So they're still there. We're not deleting or uninstalling it, but we have simply hidden them so that the students are more focused during class hours, right? The MDM is able to do a variety of other things. If in the unlikely event or unfortunate event that the student has set a passcode and forgotten the passcode, the MDM also has the ability to clear the passcode so that you don't have to force erase the iPad, right? So the MDM is in a nutshell, the MDM is great for the school to help the students during school hours. But at the same time, outside of school hours, it also enables parents like yourselves to have ability to have some form of management over the iPad remotely. Okay. Now, if you're wondering, what about student privacy? If there's a software that is able to remotely control and so forth, then is there any risk that the school or the school administrator has ability to look at some of the students' information, right? Suffice to say, the Apple has designed this whole MDM platform quite well. And Apple is a huge advocate for privacy. So in terms of how the MDM works and what information it can access, it's got no ability to access student or user information. And what are considered user information? Any photos, email, messages are all considered user information. So the MDM administrator, the school administrator, will not be able to remotely look at your students' photos, their messages, their emails, and so forth, right? Usage pattern is also considered a user data. So there is no way for the school to look at how often a particular app is being used in this manner. Web browsing history is also private. We're not able to look at what are the websites that the student has access to remotely. Then lastly, camera, right? So there's no ability for the MDM to remotely turn on the camera because that can be a huge privacy concern. So what can the MDM then see, right? From the MDM perspective, we can see mostly hardware information, like what model of iPad this is, how much storage it has, and how much storage is being used and how much is left. That enables the MDM administrator to see if the iPad is full and to advise the student, hey, you need to remove some data or clear up some space before we can install further school apps onto it, right? We're able to get MAC addresses, hardware information like MAC address, Wi-Fi MAC address, because in some cases, the school may require a MAC address for the devices to be joining to the school network. So we're able to grab some of these things as well, right? We're able to see OS version of the iPad. We can see a list of installed apps, right? So we can see Kahoot, Nearpod. We can see, you've got YouTube and Netflix installed and so forth. But again, there is no ability for the MDM administrator to look into the app. They can see the app is installed, but there's no ability to look at the information inside an app. So one good example would be, say you've got Microsoft Word installed, right? And you've got some documents inside Microsoft Word. The MDM administrator will be able to see that you've got Microsoft Word installed, you've got Microsoft PowerPoint installed, but there's no ability for the administrator to look at the documents within those apps. Lastly, location, right? The MDM does have the ability to see the iPad's location, but there's a big caveat here, which is why I have put a asterisk there, right? So in normal mode, the MDM is not able to see the iPad location, which indirectly translates to the user, the student's location, right? Because the student most likely would be carrying the iPad with him or her at all times in the school bag. So there's no ability by default to look at the iPad's location. But in the event the iPad is misplaced, right, your child could report to the office or to ICT department to say, I misplaced my iPad. And the MDM administrator do have the ability to send a command to the iPad to say this iPad is in lost mode. And while it is in lost mode, then we can see its location to determine if this iPad is still in school or is it outside of school, right? It works similarly to Find My iPad or Find My iPhone that is designed by Apple. But in our case, even without an Apple ID or even without iCloud signed in, the MDM has the ability to look at its location provided it is under lost mode. Okay, so these are some of the things that the MDM can do, and what it can see and what it cannot see in terms of privacy, if that is one of your concerns. Right now, so we will be using the MDM to control the students during school hours. And what do we define as school hours? During school hours, we have set it to be from 7 a.m. to 4 p.m. Right, for Admiralty Primary School, it'd be 7 a.m. to 4 p.m. So Mondays to Fridays, weekdays. So within this defined school hours, the school restrictions and controls would be in place, meaning no games, no social media, things like that, right? But outside, after 4 p.m., the school will release control and your personal apps may appear on the iPad. Then it is the control then falls over to parents to manage after 4 p.m. And this is the focus of today's session. After 4 p.m., as a parent, what are the tools that you can use to manage these iPads outside of school hours? Right. So included with this MDM as a platform, it does include a parental control app called Screen Guide. Right. Screen Guide allows the parents to use your smartphone or your desktop browser to remotely manage the your child's iPad. So in Singapore, a lot of families may be dual income, both daddy and mommy are working, and you may not be at home to supervise the child while during at 4 p.m. So if there is a need, you can then use the Screen Guide parental control to say, okay, I'm going to block games or disable the use of the iPad until I come home and verify that you finish your homework and so forth. Then I allow you to use the iPad for some entertainment or for some gaming, right? So this really then helps to build a community between the school and parents. So during school, we will have a control on the iPads, and outside of school, the parents would then take over the control to manage the students. Depending on your family's policies and how you want to work with your child, different families have different policies. So while one family may allow certain things like social media and games, another family may not, right? So this is entirely up to you as a parent to see what you want to control using this, right? So the app is available for iPhone users. It's available in the App Store as a Screen Guide. Look for the kangaroo icon, the blue icon with the kangaroo in it. It's available from the App Store. Or if you're an Android user, there's no app for it, but it's okay. Both Apple and on Android, you can also use a browser, right? So browsers will work. If you're at work and you prefer not to look at your phone screen, you can also just use your desktop PC or Mac to go use a browser, and then you will be able to log in to the same interface and manage the student as well, right? It's a free download. There's no charge included with the Screen Guide, included with the MDM subscription that the school has catered for, right? So the next part is we're gonna okay. So the next part we're gonna show you how you can link to the child's iPad, along the way, then and how you can create an account, go in, and I'll show you some of the features to manage the iPad, right? So it's got a number of features. It's got timeout, it's got screen times, restrictions, and so forth. So depending on how much time we have later, well, I'll go through some of this, and then you can see how it works specifically here. All right, and then towards the end, as Madam Fahiza mentioned, we can have some Q&A if you have any questions on how this parental control Screen Guide app works. Okay, so here we're going to transition into a live demo. I have on the screen here on the right side an iPad. So this is the iPad. It is broadcasting onto my desktop now. And then now, just give me a moment. I'm gonna put my phone onto the screen at the same time, so you can have a view of both the parental side as well as on the student side. Okay. So so on the left side we have the iPad, and on the right side is my iPhone. So I've downloaded the Screen Guide app. So if you're using a browser, it is the same. The later I will show you where the actually I may have a okay. So if you're using a browser, you can go to screenguide.mozilla.com, right? And you'll have the same interface as what you see on the phone. So it's screenguide.mozilla.com on your PC or Mac on the desktop browser, or you can use the phone's browser as well. So if I go to the browser here, right, it looks exactly the same. So this is a browser, right? The interface is exactly the same. So the app is essentially just a web wrapper that wraps the website into an app, right? So as you launch this, there is a process to link your device to the student device. So I'm going to go through the entire process, right? So as you launch it, if you need to enter an email to sign and create an account. Use a don't use your work account, because people change jobs. Use your Gmail or Hotmail or Outlook as your email here. All right. So enter your email, sign up, type net, set a password, and so forth. I already created my account, so I won't go through that. But the steps are so after you created, you'll be able to log in. Right. So here I'm gonna log in using my account. Right. Okay, so once you've created your account and you logged in, this is the first screen that you will see, right? It will prompt you, do you want to create a family or to join a family? At this point, it will be create a family because you're the first user. Join a family is actually for the second guardian or for your spouse or for another, let's say a grandparent, that will also be using this to control. You can add second or third guardian to also manage the iPad. So here I'm going to tap on create a family. Right, so I'm going to leave that as default. You can give your family a name if you want to. I'm going to tap on create. Right, so I just create a family here. Right, I'm going to skip this. Right, so there are no members, no devices, and no members. So here I'm going to do add a child. I'm going to link to this iPad that's in front of me. So when you do this step, you have to have both your device as well as your child's iPad with you, right? Because you will be required to do something on the iPad at the same time, right? So when I tap on add a child, you can give your child give your child the name. So I'm gonna just put my boy's name here, Zachary. Birthday is optional. Normally I don't put it in, and tap on add child. Okay. Right. So I've just added one child, and next you'll be prompted to add a device. So here there's only one option. I'm adding a school managed device. Tap on that. Right, the instructions on the screen says, okay, now on the school managed device, go to Safari and type in this following link, right? So you don't do this on your phone, you actually go to the iPad, right? So here I'm going to go to the iPad, right? I'm going to launch Safari, right? And then on Safari, you have to go to this website, right? So it's screen.guide/connect, right? So screen.guide/connect, enter. And it will launch Mozo School, which is the agent that as the school has already when we enroll this into the MDM, this agent app will already be installed on the iPad. If you don't get the prompt to open Mozo School, that means the iPad has not been managed by the MDM yet. So do bring it into the ICT department so they can do the necessary, right? So here I'm going to tap on open. It's going to launch the Mozo School app, the agent app. And here you have to enter the Screen Guide account credentials, the login credentials, which is the one that you have just created a few moments ago. So when you create that, try not to forget it. If you do forget it, you can reset a password quite easily on the login screen, right? So here again on the left side, using the iPad, I will log in with my account, adps.parent, which is what I had earlier. And my very secure 11223344 password, right? Login. Okay. So at this point here, it will say, please enter the passcode provided by the school, right? So all schools have a unique passcode to identify that, this belongs to Admiralty Primary and not a different school, right? So for Admiralty Primary, the school code, the screen guide school code that you need to remember is this, right? 397B7, 397B7, right? So you will need to enter 397B7 on this screen here, right? 397B7, right? 397B7, right? I'm not part of the school, so I'm not going to use this code, but you have to use this code 397B7. So I'm going to use my code, which is under my company. So don't enter this code. This is for me, but assume that this is 397B7, right? Then tap on send. Okay, now the association is complete. You can now manage this device using your screen guide account. Tap on close and it's done, right? So the information will come in, what are apps that the school has provided, push down to the iPad, you will see in the interface here, right? So here is done, press one button, you can get out from it, right? So let's come back to the parental side, right? And focus on the parental side. So on the parental side, you see nothing has changed because we still need to tap on the arrow to go through all the steps, right? So I've just verbally visually shared with you how to do it. But if you forget, it's all guided here, right? So it says here, open Safari, go to this website, tap on next, and then it informs you to insert your screen guide, log in, and so forth. So everything that I've just done earlier is actually shown on the parental screen guide app, right? So you're going to tap right all the way until it ends. It says, great, the device should now be connected, and tap on close, right? So earlier on, there was no device associated. Now I can see Zachary, I can see that the iPad, Zachary's iPad is now down here, right? So under members, I see my child Zachary, and under devices, you see Zachary has one device. Now, if you've got, two children in the school that is under this program, then you can add additional child and additional devices to manage them separately on this screen guide app, right? So you can, if you need to add another guardian, this is where you tap to add a member. Instead of adding a child, you add another guardian to link this second guardian to this to your family. All right. So here I'm going to go back to this device, Zachary's iPad. I tap on this, and it'll show me a number of things that you can use to control. Right. So we've got timeout to disable the device usage for some time, screen time restrictions, restrict to specific apps, log into one app, web filter. You can check and delete apps on the iPads if you want to, remove password. So during school hours, if your child has forgotten the passcode, you can go to ICT and then the MDM administrator can create the passcode. Outside of school hours, if the child has forgotten the password, then you can also use your screen guide app to remove the password this way, right? So let's go through some of these features, right? So the first one I'm going to share with you is timeout, right? It says to disable device usage for some time. So as a parent, if you are not supervising your child and you say, okay, I do not want them to be using the iPad for a specific duration of time, then timeout is simply blocking the iPad, right? So if you tap into it, it says block now. You can set the duration 15 minutes, 30 minutes, 1 hour, 2 hours, or until you unlock it, limited to 24 hours max. So in this case, I'm going to just example, I'm just going to set it to 15 minutes. I'm going to simply just tap on this, click to block, right? Success, it says it will block. Now, one trick I'm going to share with you is because of the nature of the MDM, everything goes over the internet, so it's not immediate. So as I tap on that on the left side, you don't see anything happening on the iPad because the command may be pending to apply, right? So come back to the main screen. Go into,
sorry, David.
yes.
Maybe you want to clarify that the screen guide app must be on the parent's mobile and not the iPad.
Yes, the screen guide app is on the parent's mobile phone or your desktop. You don't do this on the child's iPad, right? You don't do this on the child's iPad. I apologize if I wasn't clear. So on the left side is the iPad. On the right side here, this is your smartphone, your personal phone, iPhone, your Samsung, so forth. So if it's a Samsung, then you use a web browser to go to Screen Guide. If you're an iPhone user, then there is an app for you to download from the App Store. Okay, so everything I'm doing now is actually on the parent side, because the iPad is not right now, it's physically in front of me, right? But your child will be with the iPad at home. You could be in office, right? So you're not physically there next to the iPad, right? So I'm putting both here so they can see the response and what are the behavior that you can expect on the iPad side as you use the Screen Guide app, right? So just now I mentioned timeout. So when you enable timeout, on the left side you see it will receive the command and it will launch this screen, and then it will say that, oh, it's got 30 minutes remaining, right? Because we have set it to be 15 minutes. And while in this screen, you are not able to see, but I'm pressing the home button right now, and I'm not able to get out from it, right? So this iPad is effectively locked out, unusable, because it is locked to the screen, right? You can power off, you can power on, it will still be on the screen, all right? So you sort of disabled it. There's no usage whatsoever because it's locked to the screen. There's nothing you can do on the iPad, right? So timeout is good if you simply just want to prevent your child from using it, right? If I can bring your attention back to the phone in front, on the right side, sometimes you say, oh, pending to apply on that because it's not being refreshed, the commands are not updated. As any other app, if you swipe down from the middle of the screen with your finger, just do a pull down, that forces a refresh, and then some of the information, just now it says pending to apply. Actually, it's already applied, right? You can see the iPad has already been locked, but it says pending to apply. But once I've refreshed it, it says that it's active until 4:41, right? Because we blocked it for 15 minutes, right? So here I'm going to go ahead to unblock it. And just now I was going to say, right, sometimes the command do not immediately go out. So if you're the impatient sort, you can go to the top one that says alerts and pending. If you type into alerts and pending, if I type into pending here, I can see any of the commands that is still pending to go out. You can force it from here, right? Just now I was talking a bit, and the command executed, right? So here I'm going to show you what I mean, right? So I'm going to click on unblock here. It says unblock, and then I'm going to go back to alerts and pending down here. Yeah, you can see that the command is sitting there, right? So sometimes if the command is sitting here, you can swipe it a few times. Okay, it's gone out already, right? If not, there was a big red button at the bottom. You can say push to send again. So you can push the command again if it doesn't seem to be going out because of what network issue or whatsoever, right? So now it's gone out. It's unlocked. On the left side, I'm going to press on the home button, right? So once I press on the home button, the iPad is able to exit from the timeout app, and then you can go, and the iPad is back to normal usage. Right, back to normal usage. So timeout is great if you just want to block, right? You can also use timeout to set a schedule. So if you tap on the schedule, you can add a schedule, and schedule can be useful if you want it to be recurring. For example, let's say dinner time, you want your child not to be using the iPad from the hours. Let's say dinner time is from 6 o'clock, right? 6 o'clock to 7 o'clock. It's 6 o'clock to 7 o'clock. And you need to eat every day. So it's going to be every day. So I'm going to do every day, click on save. Right. So here I've just created a schedule. Every day, 6 to 7 o'clock, it will send out a timeout command and block the iPad. Then if your child is using the iPad, they say, oh, it's blocked, it's dinner time, then they'll come out for dinner, right? Things like that. Another one is you can do this for sleep time. So if there is concern, I know, parents have this concern to say that, okay, what happens if my child wakes up in the middle of the night and try to use the iPad, play some games while we're all asleep, right? The child could be playing games, right? Personally, I'll just confiscate the iPad, put it under my pillow, right? But if you're not able to do that, then you can also use this to say that, okay, every day you should be sleeping from, let's say, sleep time is 10:30, and then wake up in the morning 5 o'clock, 5:30 or so, right? So you want to set the morning time to be slightly before school hours, so that allow the command to run, use the good Wi-Fi at home to run, release the iPad, so that the iPad is not locked when they go to school, right? Sometimes if you set it too late, if you set it to 7:30, then when you go to the school, they may not be joined to the school Wi-Fi yet, then it will not unlock in time for class, right? So you can use the schedule to do something like that, to say that time out and block the iPad for a duration of time. Okay, so that's time out. The next I want to show, I'm going to skip screen time for now because that's a bit complex. If you have time towards the end, I will show you what that does. Next, I want to show you restrictions, right? Restrictions is quite straightforward. It just allows you to block certain things that is defined by the MDM, right? So here you turn on restrictions. You can hide apps, hide Safari, you can block FaceTime, block in-app purchases, block iTunes, block camera, block iMessage, so forth, right? So you can scroll down. There's no way for you to add or remove from this list. It is already predefined. But it's good if you just want to do certain things. So I'm going to show you, for example, hide Safari, right? Again, web access is a big thing, right? Where you give the child, Safari browser, they can go to any website, and they go to game, they go to YouTube, they go to any website. So if you have some concern, say, I do not want my child to go to any website, then one quick way is to just disable Safari, right? So here, I'm going to put Safari up here so that you can see, right? So I'm going to put Safari. So bring attention here to Safari icon here. It's going to sit at the top there. And on the right, I'm going to just tap on hide Safari, right? Just a simple toggle. Then I'll come up to alerts and pending. I can see this, right? So I'm going to press on this big button to say push, refresh. Oh, okay, it's already done. All right, so you see on the left side, Safari browser is now hidden, right? So we've effectively removed internet access, not internet access, sorry, web access to the child, right? So your child could still be using Kahoot, can be using other apps for schoolwork, but there's no Safari browser for your child to surf the internet. Okay. If you install Chrome and other browsers, then you will also have to block those other browsers, because this command here is simply for Apple's apps, which is the Safari browser, right? Sorry, I typed the wrong thing, right? So restrictions, simply hide Safari. So I'm gonna toggle this back to bring Safari back. Okay, let this command go out. Okay, press the big red button a couple of times. Okay, so I'm gonna put Safari back. Okay, then let it run. Okay, next, okay, Safari is back. See, it's back. Oh, it's down here. Right, Safari is back. Okay, next, restrict specific apps. This is quite useful. My boy will come to me, say, Daddy, I want to use the iPad for homework. And you say, okay, I allow to use it for homework. And then quickly he turn around, he's doing something else, right? So if my boy comes to me and says, oh, Daddy, I want to use this for, then I'll ask him, right? So what do you need for your homework? You're gonna tell me, right? Is this schoolwork? Then you tell me what's for schoolwork. Say, okay, I need certain apps. So I'm gonna tap on this, add apps. It will list down the apps that are currently installed on the iPad. Then, so let's say my boy says, okay, I need Kahoot, I need Keynote to do some presentation, I need to do some math on Kahoot, and I'm gonna use the currency app, right? So let's say he says he needs these 3 apps, right? So I'm gonna select these 3, click on done here. So select apps to show. At the bottom, you can give it a timing or based on the schedule. Schedule is recurring. So every day, 7 to 8 is homework time. You can set this, right? So now I'm going to set it as ad hoc for 15 minutes, same thing. I'll set it for 15 minutes. I'm going to click on save, right? So only these 3 apps for 15 minutes. So put your attention to the iPad on the left side. I'm going to push this out, pending, refresh it, press the big red button a couple of times. Okay, so once the command has come in from the MDM, right, it will hide all the apps there except those that you have listed, which is Kahoot, Currency, and what's the other one? Keynote, right? Keynote is on the second screen here, right? So only these 3 apps are allowed to be used or visible on the iPad. Everything else is hidden, right? Settings you cannot hide. right? Screen guide, ignore that. This is actually a web browser. I just put this is a bookmark. So you cannot hide that bookmark. And then Mozo School app is the one that is actually in the dock down here. Those are things you cannot hide. So settings cannot hide. The Mozo School you cannot hide, but everything else you can hide. And then these are the 3 apps that I have just allowed. So restricting it to specific apps can be useful if you want to make sure that your child is focused on a particular task and they can only use these 3 apps, right? So here you can make changes to the app list, but if it's going to be the same app, most of the time, you can just use the toggle here. I'm going to toggle it off, so that once I toggle it off, everything should come back soon, right? So there are 2 other things here at the top. Removes restricted apps. So again, depending on your family structure, if you allow your child have access to the App Store in the Apple ID, and they can install anything they want, then this is useful if you want to say that, okay, for whatever reason, let's say I'm going to go to store, I'm going to search for, Angry Bird, right? For whatever reason, I'm going to say Angry Bird is forbidden, is banned in this household, right? Okay, I'm just going to put the first one. Okay, Angry Keeper, right? I'm going to add. So if I save this Angry Keeper to this list, what's going to happen is, if my boy installs Angry Keeper using the App Store, the next time Apple or the MDM checks in, you say that, hey, you have Angry Keeper, it is on the restricted app list, then they will be prompted to delete it. All right. So they'll keep nagging them to delete it. So this is a blacklist. These are the apps that you are not supposed to have, right? TikTok, right? Could be another one. I said no TikTok in this household, right? Forbidden. You can add TikTok to the list. So if your child installs TikTok, then they'll always be prompted to remove where's TikTok? Oh, there's a lot of, okay. So assume you find TikTok. Okay, assume it's this one. Okay. And then you add it to the list. So this is to have a restricted app list. The next one, second one here, is to hide restricted apps. So if you don't use the first option to say keep nagging them, the second one is, yeah, you can install, but it will always be hidden. So let's use, for example, let's say NLB in a mobile, right? For whatever reason, you're gonna go use the library app, right? NLB mobile is a restricted app in my household. Or actually I can use install, right? So say, okay, NLB mobile is restricted, right? So I can block NLB mobile at all times, because it is part of the restricted list until I toggle it off, right? So once the command goes up, see on the left side, NLB mobile, it was next to the calculator app. It's now hidden, right? So it's not deleted. It is simply hidden, right? Similar to how some of the personal apps like your games and your Netflix, all that, they're not deleted during school hours, but they're hidden, so you cannot effectively use them. If you try to search for it, NLB mobile, it will not be able to be launched. It's effectively not there. Okay. So this is another one which is quite useful in terms of restricting the apps on the iPad. Okay. The next one down, lock in one iPad. This I won't show this because this is very similar to timeout, right? Timeout, you're locking the iPad and disabling the iPad by locking it to a very nondescript screen like timeout, right? Locking to one app essentially does the same thing, but you lock it to a specific usable app. So if a child comes to you and says, oh, Daddy, I need to do Kahoot, and I say, okay, you can only do Kahoot, you cannot do anything else, then I will lock you to the Kahoot app. So Kahoot will launch, and then they can use it for a specified time that you give them. But similar to timeout, when they press the home button, they will not be able to exit Kahoot to go to Google or go to some other app, right? So they are locked into this Kahoot app for a specific time that you have defined, right? So I won't show that because it's very similar to timeout. Next one down is web filter, right? The MDM has some ability to block certain websites. but it's not a full-on, web filtering where you can block categories of sites like adult sites or guns or drugs, things like that. You can't really do that. Although Apple has a form of built-in limited adult content web filter that has been implemented. This is by Apple. But here I want to show you is you can also add other websites to it based on, again, your family's policies, right? So for example, if I go here, I say always block. I say I don't want you to go to Disney.com. All right. I add it to the web list, right? And if I go to the website, okay, I need to apply it, right? At the bottom, apply it. So the command goes out. Just check that the command has gone out. Okay. Okay, so it's gone out. So if I were to go to Disney.com, right, it should be blocked, right? So you cannot browse because it is restricted. Now, so this can be useful if you do not want your child to go to a specific site for whatever reason, Facebook, TikTok, Instagram. We will always say, work with your child, say, okay, boy, you shouldn't go to this website, or girl, you shouldn't go to this website. And if they follow instructions, all that's good, because this is not a very effective manner to control them. But if they persist to go to this particular website, then you have sort of a kill switch to say that, okay, I'm going to block you from going to this website, right? You can add more sites to it, but I do advise against having a very, very long list. So you've got like 100, 200 websites in here. It will slow down the iPad, because every time I try to go to this website, it will actually compare against this list, right? So the longer this list, it will then slow down the browsing experience on the iPad. So use it sparingly, only for specific sites that you really, really do not want them to go to. Okay. The next one down, check and install apps. This comes back to a scenario where if your child has the freedom or the responsibility to install their own apps, and once in a while you may say, I wonder what my boy has installed. You can use this feature here to check what are the apps there, right? So you can scroll down to force a refresh, and then you can see all the apps that is installed on the iPad. And if you see something that you actually don't agree with or don't approve, you can tap on this rubbish bin here to say, I want to delete this, and the MDM will attempt to delete it on the iPad remotely, right? So this is a good way to sort of see, what are the apps that you have installed on the iPad, and then you don't have to physically say, okay, bring me your iPad, I'm going to check your iPad. You can use this list here to see what has been installed on the iPad, right? You can also use this to install apps. It's not super useful, because you try to install anything, you still prompt for Apple ID anyway, right? So if your child has an Apple ID and a password, you can say, okay, install an app, and they'll be prompted to key in the password, the app will install. But if they do not have a password, then there's no way for you to remotely install an app here anyway, because they'll be challenged for the password for the Apple ID when you initiate it from here. Okay. But it's a good way to check. I use this to check, but I don't use it to remotely install anything. Okay. The second last one, actually, the last one, the bottommost is analytics, which doesn't do anything. The last one here is remove password, right? Because this iPad is personal, we encourage students to set a device passcode, right? So to protect the privacy and so forth, as they bring to school and to use. So it's good to have a device passcode. But if I want to, do a spot check, say, boy, bring the iPad, I want to see, and he refused to give me the password because he's changed it to some other passcode, right? Don't have to arm wrestle him. I can just use this to remove the passcode, right? So here, let's say I set a passcode over here, just to show you how this works. So let's say they have a passcode. Again, very secure one, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Right, I'm going to set a passcode, use anyway. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, so now this device has a passcode. Then if I turn this on, I'll be challenged with the keypad, which you don't see here. Now, on the right side, I'm going to go here. I say, I will remove the passcode, click on confirm. So there's nothing, it's just a tap and go. Just check that this has gone out. So on the left side, it's challenging for the passcode. And once this has gone out, just make sure that this has gone out successfully. Okay, once this has gone out, I'm going to press the home button. I'm not keying in the passcode, I'm just press the home button. Right, I'm in, right? So the passcode has been cleared. You will have to set the passcode again, right? It doesn't let you bypass, it actually clears the passcode. So you have to set a new passcode, a brand new passcode, right? So this is useful, you know, for you to clear the device passcode. If your child has forgotten the device passcode, you can do this from the Screen Guide app. During school hours, the school administrator will be able to do this as well. Okay. We've got what 10 minutes left. Okay, I'm gonna just talk through screen time. I left this at the very back because it can be a bit complex, and you may or may not want to use this. Personally, I don't use this because it's a bit too cumbersome. I will just use timeout to block if I do not want my child to use it or restrict him to specific apps. So what screen time does is, the concept is quite cool, right? That you can set a silo of time every day for your child to use. So here you can set the duration. Let's say every day allow you to use the iPad for 2 hours. Once I enable it, the device will be disabled. Okay, I'm gonna do it anyway. I'm gonna enable it for 2 hours, right? Say 2 hours. Everything will be disabled, hidden. And when your child wants to use the iPad, he'll enable the timer and the countdown will start. And he's able to do whatever he needs to do, play games, watch some video and so forth. And then, he needs to go shower. He'll stop the timer, go shower, do homework, eat dinner, come back, then start the timer again, right? So this concept of screen time is, yes, I allow you 2 hours of screen time every day. Okay, so it's gone. So everything is hidden now, right? So iPad has nothing, right? It's confusing. This is a browser, right? So ignore that. It's actually the second one, right? The second one. So what happens is the child will come in, launch this Screen Guide app, which is the timer, and say that, okay, I've got 2 hours. I'm going to unlock, start my timer. I'm going to use it for all available time, unlock. And then once the command comes in, all the apps will appear and then they will start to use it, right? So the concept is yeah, you have a pool of 2 hours. You can choose when you want to start or stop. And once your 2 hours is up, then you will be locked to this mode again, where everything is hidden and you cannot use anything, right? So now everything is back, right? I can use it for homework, for games, for video, so forth. And if I stop the timer, I go back here and say, okay, I need to go shower. I don't want to waste my time. I've got 1 hour, 59 minutes of precious time. I'm going to pause that. I say, okay, stop my timer. I'm going to go shower or go and makan, right? Pause that. And then at some point, it will then hide everything again and the timer will stop, right? So this is how it works. And on the parent side, you see add bonus time for today. If the child comes to you, say, oh, I finished my 2 hours, daddy, can I get extra time? Say, okay, if you're a good boy today, I will give you extra time. Okay, 30 minutes or whatever, right? If I'm feeling gracious, I'll give you another hour. Okay, add extra time, add bonus. It's like ang pao like that. Okay, so you can add extra time to that if you want to. Right, so this is how the screen time works. Just like to disable it. Okay, I'm going to turn this off. So this is kind of how that works. The duration when you set is always the same every day, right? But towards the bottom here, you can see change to advanced mode. Advanced mode is a bit more chim. It's like, oh, okay, not just 2 hours every day, which is based on the simple mode. You can have different timing for different days, right? So school days, 2 hours. Weekend, I can give you double the time, 4 hours. So I can set for weekend to be 4 hours, but weekdays only 2 hours. So under advanced, you can do a bit more things. And then at the bottom here, you can also say that, okay, when you use screen time, what are the apps that allow you to use? So it's a bit more advanced. However, as I mentioned, I don't often use this because it's a bit too leceh to use. It's a bit too complex. It's either I allow you to use or I don't allow you to use or restrict you to a specific app. I don't want you to have a pool of time, and personally for me, I don't want to set so many things. on my device. Okay, so that's all I have. The screen time app, screen guide app is good way for parents, for you, for your spouse, to both jointly manage your child's usage outside of school hours. It's got a number of features that you can use. Although I do warn that although there's a lot of things here, don't use everything at once, right? See what mode you're comfortable with. Either you do timeout, just disable, or you want to use restrict the specific apps, just do that. Don't use too many functions because then it will be the overlap will not be good. It can be confusing as well. And then last thing to mention is do have some patience with the system because MDM works over the internet. So every command needs to go out to the internet and then it will come back down to the iPad. So if you see that something is not being implemented, always come back to this pending here, check if the command is there, swipe a few times, push the big red button if it's there, and just allow the MDM to work because MDM could be congested, the Wi-Fi could be congested, the network connectivity for you at work could be bad, or for the child along the way at home or on the school bus could be bad. Things may not execute very smoothly at times. Just allow the MDM to work. It will do whatever it needs to be done at some point. Okay, so that's all I have. Happy to do some Q&A. We've got about 5-10 minutes to do Q&A. So I'm gonna stop here, and maybe I'll pass the time.
David,
the screen back to...
there are questions in the Q&A.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Let me stop my
you
share
help
so
to
I can look
answer
at
the
it.
questions?
Let me look at it. Okay, how can we, I'm gonna start from the top. How can we enable location sharing so that we can manage Find My enable default messages app? Okay, so the MDM is a different system from Apple's Find My iPhone or Find My iPad. If your whole family is Apple user, parent is Apple user, you can set up family sharing, you can Find My location. You can use that to always track your child already. All right. But if you're not an Apple user and your child is using the iPad, then this function will not work. So the MDM tends to be more generic and not specific to say, oh, all parents must be Apple users. So if you're an Android user, yeah, you can still use the MDM to, if it's lost, you can still track it. But we will not be able to do the location part using the Find My. So Find My is very specific to parent being an Apple user, and you have to set up family sharing and location services for the child device, right? So that it doesn't affect, you can still use it in addition to the MDM. The MDM doesn't affect your Find My and location sharing and things like that, right? So it's two completely different things. Okay. No, okay. If we do this timeout at our phone, will it take effect on the iPad only when the iPad is connected to Wi-Fi? Yes, the MDM works over Wi-Fi. It must have Wi-Fi connection. So, and I can share with you now, if your child is smart, it'll go into airplane mode and then the timeout will not come in. All right. So that's how the nature of the technology, right? Without internet, the command cannot come in, then it will not disable the iPad. But if the iPad is on airplane mode, the child cannot do a lot of things anyway, right? A lot of games are also online games and so forth. So they may be able to use certain things, but you know, if the app doesn't rely on internet, they will continue to use it. One way is that you have you block the thing while they have internet access. So if you know that the school is going to end at 4, you may want to set something at 4:01 or something so that I can quickly try to block it before they reach home and go into airplane mode and so forth, right? But that is the nature of the technology. It does require internet access to work, and if your child disables it, turns off Wi-Fi, then the command will not kick in. Okay. Under screen time, you have 2 hours of school days. Will it affect the usage at school from okay, whatever you do on the parental app is actually outside of school hours, right? It's actually outside school hours. So it shouldn't affect school hours time. Just make sure that when you set the schedule, say I allow you 2 hours, don't set it between the hours of 7 a.m. to 4 p.m., right? Because that may conflict with school stuff. But you set it from 4 to the duration to be after that, then they can use it anytime after that for a period of 2 hours. Okay. We also didn't. Okay, this is
Okay,
for
David,
the teacher.
let me answer this question.
Mm.
For the primary 3 students, they were already given the hard copies, where the student and the parent will have to sign together. The parent can look at the student pledge, the student iPad agreement, and the hard copy, the signed form, is supposed to be handed back to the teacher. That is for primary 3. But for primary 4 onwards, we actually gave an online form where the parents have to acknowledge to agree to the agreement. So for primary 3, only the primary 3 students get the hard copy. The rest of the levels, they were given online in Parents Gateway. Yeah.
Okay, thanks. Just looking at the Q&A, other questions here. So most of them have been answered. In terms of Apple ID and all that, the school will provide the school manage Apple ID, screen time. Okay. I think that's all. Any other questions open from Sharon?
Maybe
No.
the
Okay.
parent may want to
Yeah.
clarify. Yeah, can talk over the mic.
Mm.
Or else we'll pass back to Madam Faiza.
Mm.
David, there is one more
there's
question.
there's one more question for Android users.
Oh, okay. Let me see here. For Android users, we need to keep using. Yes, you can use the browser. Yeah. So actually browser is better because you don't have to update the app and so forth. And I tend to use the browser on my computer. Just go to screen guide, screenguide.mozo.com. So it it it's actually the same, right? It's actually the same. Right? Screenguide.mozo.com. Just now I got a link here, right? So if I go to screenguide.mozo.com, right, it looks exactly the same. So this is actually the
Sorry,
browser.
David. According to the, referring to the iPad agreement, it is also in the pupils' companion book, the Admiral's companion book. So parents can also refer to that.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Right. Yeah. So for the parent that was asking, yes, for Android user, you can use the browser. It's exactly the same. So if I log in here now, just let me log in. If I start. So whatever you do on the phone, if you go to just now I did everything on the iPhone. If I come to a browser, this is on this tablet lah. Normally you will not use it on the iPad because you wouldn't do this on the child's iPad. But let assume you have your own personal iPad or on a computer. You see the interface is very similar.
Sorry, David, you want to share screen?
Oh, sorry, I stopped screen. So, oops, forgot. Oh, where did you go? Can you see my screen? Oh, okay. Can you see my screen?
Okay, can.
All right. Yeah. Okay. So I was showing just now. This is the web browser lah, right? This is the web browser. If I log in, it's got a bigger interface, but it's exactly the same, right? You got timeout restrictions. Everything that I've done on my phone earlier, is actually it's the same account, right? So you see the same things here. You can use it on your tablet. You can use it on your Android phone. You can go back to a PC and you log in. If you go to this page, screen guide .mozo.com is the same thing, right? You for iPhone users, they release an app, but it's not a big deal. You can always use the web browser on the Android device or on your PC. Okay. Yeah, just wanted to share that. They're exactly the same thing. Okay. Stop that. Any other questions? No more already. Okay. Back to you, Madam Faiza.
Okay, I think there's no other questions. Just to clarify again, parents, the student doesn't need Apple ID. If they do need, the school will actually create the Apple ID for them. All right. Why? It's because we are the one who's going to push down the apps, the necessary apps that the child, the students require. So for now, they do not need Apple ID. So just now, I think there's some questions regards to Apple ID because they can parents are not able to download apps. I think just now, David already mentioned. Okay, for the screen guide, it's supposed to be on the parent's device. Okay, it's supposed to be on your device, your mobile device, or if you're using Android, you can use the browser. Okay, parents. So, parents, if you do have any other questions or concerns, you can feel free to email me or Madam Masni. Okay, Madam Masni is a P3 teacher. She's also together with me. A P4 teacher, she's also with me in this one-to-one program. Yeah. So I would like to thank David for sharing with us today, going through the workshop with us.
Yeah,
So
welcome.
parents, yeah, that's all for today. The recording will be uploaded in our school YouTube channel. Do give us about 3 days next week, for us to upload the recording. Yeah, parents. With that, then we shall end the session for today. Thank you for joining us again, parents. Bye bye.